While World Autism Awareness Day was recognized on April 2nd, and today at the Autism Place in Dabadi, there will be a function. To tell us more about it, we have the PRO of the Autistic Society of Trinidad and Tobago, Sarah Subhan. Morning and welcome.
Morning.
Now, before we get into today's events, when exactly was the Autistic Society of Trinidad and Tobago formed?
The Autistic Society of Trinidad and Tobago was formed in 1990, so we've been doing this for 28 years now.
Wow. And when you say you've been doing this, what are some of the activities or the objective of this entire society?
So we are first and foremost a parent support group. What we do is that we facilitate parent training in terms of preparing and equipping parents to work with their children with autism. We do awareness talks. We try to provide autism-friendly spaces for people with autism. We advocate for people with autism, particularly in terms of them having equal opportunities and equal rights as other citizens in Trinidad and Tobago. And we also try to provide life skills and other services that can help people with autism live more autonomous lives.
Yeah, and I know you all are also open to volunteers.
Yes, we are very much so.
And like, who are you looking for? Is it just people to assist in areas, probably perhaps even psychologists or counselors, those who would be willing to come on board, or is it just anybody in general?
We take on a wide range of volunteers. We do have a lot of high school students that volunteer their time, either assisting with the upkeep of the grounds, assisting in groups. We also have student volunteers who come from various tertiary education institutes who are studying either psychology, social work, other social programs, and they want to volunteer their time. We would love to have more professional volunteers, therapists in particular, psychologists would be great, even medical professionals.
Yeah. Now, over the years, what sort of activities have you all had at the center?
We facilitate a lot of activities because we really try to create a space where people with autism can feel comfortable to engage in things that everyone else can. Things like watching movies, being able to share space where they feel comfortable to hang with their friends. We also facilitate a lot of parent training and workshops at our center.
Now, for those looking on and they may not really have had exposure to kids with autism or even individuals in general with autism, how challenging is it really?
Autism can be challenging because society doesn't necessarily cater for their needs. How we look at autism is along a spectrum, so there may be various challenging behaviors that might present itself, but most of the time it's because we aren't able to communicate in the way that they can, and there's so much expectation for people with autism to change their behavior to suit us. So what we try to do at these societies really encourage people to understand and learn more about autism, understanding the ways they experience the world, the way people with autism might communicate differently from us, so that we can also adapt ourselves to be more friendly and more autism friendly.
I know you will have some activities on Saturdays and different things during the week. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
We run adult groups where we focus on life skills. We also have parents that come in during the week, and what we try to do is work with parents and children on other types of life skills, for example, things like managing challenging behaviors or even toilet training. On the Saturdays, we also run music and art groups, which is more focused on social interaction among people with autism.
Now, this can be quite a challenge. I mean, I've been to the autism place and I've seen, parents coming in, and you have to display a level of patience as well. I know there are certain things you can and you cannot do. You cannot shout at the kids. You have to learn to create a structure and a system. Provide us with some more information on what really is required on a parent, in fact.
Well, what we do is that we try to encourage parents not to focus too much on punishment, because I think a lot of parents, in the frustration of trying to understand their child, many of them have never heard about autism before, especially when it's a new diagnosis. They're kind of frustrated and also not sure how to cope. And what we try to do is we try to equip parents with coping skills, so that they will not have to resort to physical punishment. So that's something that we tend not to emphasize at the society, or things like shouting or hitting. What we try to do is equip parents to help their children learn the skills that they need to in a healthy and friendly way.
How soon can you identify that a kid has autism?
So autism research at this point is saying that, you know, as early as a few months, if you are trained to do so, in terms of, you know, looking at the way your child is developing, whether or not they're reaching developmental milestones, things like eye contact, difficulty with smiling, difficulty with language development, with speech, with social interaction. I mean, babies as young as 3 to 6 months may already be looking at a parent or smiling, and those are some of the very early warning signs. It doesn't necessarily mean that your child may have autism, but if your child is missing developmental milestones or not engaging in social interaction, then we really encourage parents to, you know, not wait until it's, you know, very prominent. We want parents to be proactive in finding out about, you know, their child, or if their child may be experiencing any difficulties, because early intervention is so important in, you know, having successful treatment.
Wow. So let's talk a little bit about what is on the agenda for today. So today is actually the day that you all commemorate World Autism Day with a series of activities. You'll have a function, I understand?
Yes, today we have a function which begins at 10 a.m. It's really meant to be focused on autism awareness. So we will have our president of the society speaking on, you know, what our goals are for this year, giving a statement about empowering families, and also about encouraging more people with autism to become advocates and self-advocates. Today we'll also be featuring the Honorable Sharianne Critchlow-Coburn, who's coming to give a feature address. We also have performances from our adult group, as well as Malik folk performers, as well as the Angel Harp Steel Orchestra.
Great. So a lot to look forward to. And who is invited?
Everyone is invited. We would love to have members of the media, members of the public, well-wishers. And even if they aren't able to come today, we really encourage people to get in contact with us to find out what we're up to, because we do things all throughout the year.
What are some of the challenges that the Autistic Society has faced throughout the years?
I think some of the challenges continue to be within the realm of education, where we have a lot of parents who are still having difficulty getting their child into school. I think that's a huge challenge and something that we continue to work on. We also hope that more members of the society would be more inclusive and accepting of people with autism, so that it shouldn't just be a one-day thing. It shouldn't just be that you commemorate it or recognize it on one day, but to really include people with autism and plan for people with autism in everyday activities.
Do we also have an issue with stigma?
Stigma is still an issue as well, which is why autism awareness is still important. We want people to understand that people with autism are like everyone else. They want to be loved, they want to be accepted, they want to feel part of the community, they would like to contribute in society if they're given equal opportunities and equal rights.
Now, the challenge you mentioned as well is schools not being able to accommodate children with autism. What do we have in place at the moment?
I think, you know, it's a challenge because I think there are many teachers don't feel equipped to work with a child with autism. So because they don't feel equipped, I think it's very difficult for them to manage and work with a child with autism in the classroom. We also may not have as many teachers' aides as needed to assist a child with autism in a typical classroom. So it's more than just, schools not accepting people with autism, but I think it's about, many people involved in education not feeling equipped to do it. And that's something that we hope will improve over time, even as we do and our own parent and other, we train educators as well. So it's something that we hope will continue to get better in terms of people feeling, okay, I'm equipped, I'm trained, I can handle the challenge of having people with autism and other disabilities in the classroom so that the classroom can become a more inclusive environment.
But we do have special needs schools, correct?
We do have some special needs schools. Many of them are not public schools, so there's also, the challenge for parents who are unable to afford these types of services, especially because they can be quite expensive. And again, that's something that we try to help with as well. We try to make our services affordable so that parents who cannot necessarily afford, private therapies can at least learn some of these skills that they can work with their child at home.
And speech therapy is also one of the programs that you'll offer?
We facilitate for speech therapists to work at the center. We do not have, at this time, people who are working full-time as speech therapists.
All right. So for further information, how can we contact you?
You can contact us via telephone at 646-5506, via email at autismtt@gmail.com, or you contact us on Facebook, Autistic Society of Trinidad and Tobago.
Do we have statistics to show how many people currently have autism in our country?
The UN estimates about 1% of every population, so we are estimating anywhere between 13,000 to 14,000 people in Trinidad and Tobago. Currently, there is no national data, statistical data available, but we do know from, every week that we have new parents constantly coming at the society with diagnoses, so it's something that's becoming more prevalent, even though it already may be existing.
Yeah. Who's the president of the society?
That's Teresina Sunarines, and she'll be there this morning at the function.
You share a little bit of her story. I understand she has a son who is autistic as well.
Yes, Terry is one of the founding members. She's one of a few of the founding members who in 1990, as you can imagine, not very many people knew about autism, and so parents came together to form the society because they felt at the time that there was no voice, there was no support, and that's how we were formed, and that's why parent support is a huge part of, our own ethos.
Yes, great. It was really great chatting with you, Sarah Suhan. She is the PRO of the Autistic Society of Trinidad and Tobago, and you can just tell us that number once again.
646-5506.
All right, and you can feel free to drop in at 10 a.m. at the Autism place in Davide. Today they would be celebrating World Autism Awareness Day, and they have featured speakers and so many other things, valuable information. Parents, teachers, all are invited. Thank you so much for being part of our program this morning.
Thank you for having me.